Hello everyone and welcome to the Milan Sharma Show. I'm your host Milan, and today I will be doing a reaction video to a creator named Richard Grannon on YouTube. The video is called Don't Chase Happiness, Do This Instead. So without further ado, here is the video.
We are going to talk briefly about the pursuit of happiness and why you shouldn't do it. Don't bother with happiness. You're wasting your time. I don't know if you saw the Jordan Peterson-Slavoj Žižek debate. It's worth a look. It wasn't quite a debate, but it's worth a look. There's one key point, because they were talking about Marxism, capitalism, and happiness. And when they spoke about happiness, they actually largely agreed on this one point, which is that the category of happiness is largely useless. I think that it's interesting that we have this given. We're all, in our culture, we talk happiness, we talk about the pursuit of happiness, we talk about whether we are happy or not, but it's not a very well-defined category, and I would say it's actually a destructive category. The reason being, if you can't define what it is, but you're pursuing it, you run the risk of creating a state of perfectionism that you are going to perpetually fail.
I think this is an excellent point by Richard here, because if you can't define something, I'm just going to reiterate what he said right here because it's so fantastic. If you can't define what something is, and yet you're chasing that, you will never be satisfied with the end goal, with the end result of chasing that thing that makes you happy. If you can't define something, then how are you going to solve an issue? This is something that I've always based my life off of, having concrete goals to really to pursue anything. So, for example, in college, I was an athlete. I was a student athlete. I did track and cross country, and every single competition, I had a goal to hit a certain mark in a certain meet. I always had a goal to hit a certain time because I'm working toward that time. I don't just say I want to practice all week and just be fast. No, because there's no progress being made by just wanting to be fast. But there's progress in hitting a mark and consistently beating yourself and going lower and lower with your time. For me, that was my goal, and hence I was happy with the result because I hit that mark. But many people pursue things that make them happy. They want to feel happy, but in reality, I believe happiness is something that is an emotion, and it's something that will always be fluctuating throughout time, and it always has been. Even for people that are doing what they love, many entrepreneurs will probably tell you that they'll wake up some days and not like what they have to do in the morning. They might even be really considering taking the day off or just not taking any action that day because they don't feel like it, or the work is just very tedious. But the overall goal of the project, they enjoy that goal, and there's always going to be hurdles in the way. So I think that you have to be content with, and you have to be satisfied with the project rather than the happiness of an emotion.
I never consider personally in my own life whether I'm happy or not. I'll ask whether I'm feeling sane or not, because I damn sure know what it looks like when I'm insane, and I know what it looks like when I'm sane. I'll ask him if I'm at peace or not, because I damn sure know what it looks like when I'm agitated, and I know what it looks like when I'm at peace. Being sane, being peaceful, there are things that I can do that are going to make my life more sane and more peaceful very directly. Happiness, don't really know what it is, don't really know how to define it, and secondly, I don't know what I can do to generate it. It's almost as though happiness is a category that we have to accept as kind of outside of our control.
I think this is true because many people say they're happiest when they're on vacation with their loved ones, when they're off from work, when they're eating their favorite foods, when they're in a certain destination that they can't get to reliably on a consistent basis. These things make people happy. But the reality is, like Richard said right here, these things aren't really in your control in a lot of situations. Even the most wealthy people in the world, they can't do everything they want every single day because sometimes they have to work many hours per week. So when you're trying to chase the emotion of happiness, in my opinion, you're going to be chasing an indulgence of things. And I think that in the long run is really bad for you. So if you're chasing all these types of foods you want to eat, and maybe you may say, oh, I'm happier if I don't work out, or I'm happier if I don't become disciplined in certain activities, then it's a downward spiral where happiness might lead to complacency. And I think that's even more dangerous than being sane, or being like sane, as Richard says.
Some days you'll feel good, some days not as good. Some days you may even experience little bursts of joy, momentary manias of euphoria. Should you chase that? No, I don't think you can. I think it happens when it happens. There are things we can do that make it more likely. Probably the better discipline is to pursue a life where you are trying to generate contentment, peace, sanity, and I think purpose. If you want to feel good, if you want to feel like your life has meaning, if you want to go to bed and sleep with a clear conscience, if you want to wake up in the morning looking forward to the day, purpose is a more meaningful, more reliable category than happiness.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, because, like I said earlier, purpose is like similar to what I said regarding working toward a project. So, for example, let's say if someone wants to begin a family. Beginning a family is a lot of work. It's a lot of stress. It's a lot on two partners to do. Raising children, taking care of them, while like many people are working full time, and a lot of times in this economy, when finances are scarce, a lot of times both partners need to work, and it can be very challenging. It can be very stressful. It can be stressful for the mother. It can be stressful for the father, even for maybe their grandparents too, if they or the spouse's parents, if they need to help out too. There's always stressful times that come with this, but as Richard says here, is the long-term goal, are you content with the goal that you're trying to aim for? So say like someone is really stressed out about the family that they're starting out, and the child may be crying in the middle of the night, you're not getting much sleep, so you're going to be cranky the next day, and there's these negative spirals of emotion. But can you go to bed the next day when the person can actually sleep without any crying? But regardless, can you go to bed with the idea in your mind that I'm content with what I'm aiming for right now? Like I'm fulfilling my purpose in this world, and I'm content with the challenge that I'm setting for myself. I think that is what everybody should be aiming for, because emotions, like even today, I've dealt with certain emotions. Like in the morning, I have different emotions in the morning compared to the evening. It's always fluctuating, but are you content with the path that you're paving right now? It's something that you really need to think about. I think Richard does a fantastic job at not only pointing that out, but defining it and allowing people to really think through their lives themselves and think to themselves, am I in this frame? Am I in this mindset?
Happiness, in my estimation, seems to be something that's often defined by others, and probably too readily defined by marketeers, advertising people, so that they can present you with a utopia. They can present you with a perfect, idealized state, and then say, if you've not attained to this perfect, idealized, utopian state, then there's something wrong, and you should feel bad. Now that you know what the utopia is, now that you know it's time for you to feel bad, now it is time for me to sell you a product or a service. If you just take this product, if you just buy this car, if you just vote for this politician, then you will enter the kingdom of heaven, then you will go to this promised, idealized, utopian state called happiness.
I was just thinking exactly what Richard said right before he said the cars. Like, a lot of people say, like, I'm having a certain product, like cars, vast amounts of attractive women, a certain job security, finances being stabilized, that these things will make you happy. And sure, it definitely helps you improve your life. There's no doubt about that. But, like, I watched an interview recently, and these two people said there were studies that showed that attractiveness in a partner is not really a determining factor in long-term relationship satisfaction. In fact, lower neuroticism and increased conscientiousness and compassion, a compassionate mindset, a growth mindset is actually more satisfying in the long run. So these flashy things that people point out, they don't actually really help us in the long run. I'm sure, like having a very attractive woman in your life, if you're a man, or if you're if that's what you're looking for, fastest car, these things are nice to have. If someone could have it, I'm sure they would have it. But are you setting that goal for yourself, or are you getting these aspirations by all these other people on social media and all these different aspects online? Are you seeing them do it and then you want to do it? Are you setting that goal for yourself? That's something that you really need to think about. And I've really thought about that too. And I've come to the mindset where I want to have a certain financial stability where I'm content with giving to others, supporting my supporting loved ones, and things like that. Because I don't really need flashy things. That's just me, though. Let's continue.
It's too easy to exploit. It's too easy to manipulate. It will make you self-reflective, solipsistic, and navel-gazing in a way that is not healthy, nor is it useful. But if you focus on purpose, and you focus on progress, and you focus on contributing to your tribe, then you will feel good. Then you have a chance of feeling sane, content, and at peace. The category, therefore, of happiness, I would suggest, is one worth dropping. It's probably ideological, largely speaking. It's probably something that we've become more and more obsessed with as we've been messaged to by marketeers that this is something we should be concerned with. You should concern yourself with happiness. You should concern yourself with feeling good all the time. So if we use other words to describe happiness, does it make it easier to understand? Does it make it clearer for us to understand? So let's say feeling good. Is it worthwhile you pursuing a life where you feel good all the time? Is it possible for you to pursue a life if you feel good all the time? Now we move into philosophy. If you feel good all the time, do you ever feel good? If you constantly feel good, if your baseline state is feeling good, is that you feeling good?
This is such an excellent point by Richard, because if you're feeling a constant emotion all the time, then is there any good feeling associated with that anymore? If you're feeling a happiness, this emotion, consistently, 100% of the time, no matter what, then can you ever get that feeling, that high feeling, ever again? I would argue that you can't, because if you feel a type of way all the time, anything that comes in your life is not going to bring you contentment and happiness. And it's not that special anymore. Now, one point I disagree with Richard. He says to drop the notion completely. I disagree with that. I don't think you should drop the term happiness completely, because everyone has different ways of attaining happiness. Some people enjoy certain things more than others, enjoy certain things in their lives than other people. And I think if you can find a way to align yourself with those things that will bring good emotions, I think in a limited capacity, I think that's a good thing, to find that and try to cultivate a skill, cultivate a hobby, cultivate a piece of entertainment, as long as it's not indulging. I think it's a good thing to do that, because it's good to have those emotions once in a while. But if you want to make your whole life based off good emotions, like partying all the time, drinking all the time, doing drugs, indulging in just really inappropriate things for satisfaction, that's when you're really going to see your life deteriorating, because what's the point then? Can you really be proud of the person you are in the mirror when you look at yourself, and when you really deteriorate yourself in that way of indulging too much?
Or is that just your baseline state? Don't you need the duality? Don't you need to know what it is to feel bad in order to feel good? I would suggest you do. I would suggest that the idea of trying to put yourself, if it's fundamentally yin and yang, night and day, binary, a polarity, there is yin, there is yang, there is darkness, there is light. Darkness come, darkness go. Light comes, light goes. Breathing in, breathing out. Would you try and breathe in all the time? No, that's stupid. Who would try and breathe in all the time? You're going to die if you just try and breathe in all the time. Apart from the fact that it's physically impossible. So why try to feel good all the time? I would let go of that. I would let go of much of what people of the manufacturers of consent, thank you Chomsky, would try to imply to us that happiness is. I would just let go of it. I'd say I'm not concerned with that. Purpose, sanity, peace, contentment, progress. These are things I can define. And these are things I can control. As I said before, there are things, I don't know about you, but there are things I could actively do right now to feel more at peace, to feel more content, to feel more on purpose. And if I wasn't doing something that was purposeful, I would think, what can I do that is purposeful? And then go do it. Happiness. What can I do to make myself be happy? And should I even be doing that?
I think his point about the yin and yang is something I can definitely relate with, because no matter how much we hate the negatives in our lives, when we have those positive experiences, at least I don't know about you guys listening, but for me, I'm actually grateful for that negative experience sometimes. Sometimes I look back and I'm like, wow, that hardship, that negative experience, those hard times, I would not enjoy these good times this much if it weren't for those hard experiences in the past. If I didn't learn from those mistakes in the past and learn from the people that tried to hurt me, I wouldn't have such supportive people in my life. I wouldn't know how to vet friendships, a romantic partner. I wouldn't know how to do these things if I didn't have a negative experience that made me think twice about certain friends in my life. So all these things, even though we hate the opposites of the polarity of emotions, even though we hate the negative, I think at times, if you allow me to challenge you, I think there are times that you can be grateful for it. Now, obviously, there's very extreme things that are definitely harder to see, to find something that you're grateful for in that hardship, that trauma, whatever that is. Of course, it's impossible to really see good in some evil. I'm not even questioning that. Though I would argue, when there's sunlight, when there's sunshine, I do believe that the darkness that prevailed, that came before that, there's a reason that darkness was there, and now that there's sunlight, now that there's good times, I truly believe that you become more grateful for that emotion. You don't take it for granted, and I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's all I'm going to cover in this video. So Richard Grannon, if you guys want to check that out, please check it out. And leave a comment, anything you'd like. Hate it, like it, whatever. I want to hear your feedback, guys. Please leave a like, dislike, anything you want. Please subscribe for more content like this. If you enjoyed this, please do so. I really appreciate it. It really helps me out. I'm putting out the content, and I really love that reciprocation. If you guys can do that for me, that would be excellent. So thank you so much for watching. Check out my channel for more videos like this. I have reactions. I have my takes on topics. And yeah, have a great one, guys. Cheers.